correspondence has suddenly disappeared out of the blue. But as Salaamedia, once again, we've taken this responsibility. This is an organization that has been formed with the ethos of humanitarian journalism in mind. Now, humanitarian journalism is extremely important considering when one looks at the world today, when one looks at the humanitarian crisis right across the entire world. And just personally for me, entering the media space well over 24 years ago, right at the time when 9/11 has taken place, and having had the opportunity of reporting, of discussing, of dissecting, of analyzing each and every major event since 9/11, whether we're looking at the London bombings, the Arab Spring, the invasions that had taken place, the wars that took place in Afghanistan, in Iraq, all over the entire world, in Libya as well. But throughout this 24 years, one cause has been very, very close to our heart, and that is the cause of Palestine, the cause to liberate Palestine, and using media, using what resources we have had, the message was very, very clear that we will never ever stop, we will never ever give up on Palestine, and we will continue. Now, there are obviously challenges that we've had over a period of time. We are being challenged in more ways than one. And this is the reason why I'd like to focus particularly on humanitarian journalism and why it is absolutely critical. Let us remember that we are up against not only a military war, 50% of this war, 50% of this genocide that is unfolding in Gaza is fought militarily. But 50% is to win the hearts and the minds of the people. And there is a massive media war out there. When one looks at what had happened since October the 7th, the lies that were spoken, the beheading of babies, all these things that were debunked. And it was this mainstream media, it was this corporate media. And this is exactly what we're up against, to debunk those lies, to get to the bottom of things, to get to the truth, and to talk, more importantly, to the right people. Now, as Salaamedia, once again, we've had this opportunity of working with people right across the entire world. And we're not only talking about Palestine, we're talking of right across the entire world, wherever there has been a humanitarian crisis. We have had people out of Gaza, we've had people out of West Bank, and also in terms of the number of projects that Salaamedia over the years have embarked upon. Many of you will recall not very long ago, we had a sister by the name of Abir Zayad who came to South Africa. And this is absolutely important. This is crucial to all of us because Abir Zayad, a geologist and someone who is from Al-Quds, from Jerusalem as well, on an educational, on an informative tour on Masjid al-Aqsa. And we all know Masjid al-Aqsa close to our hearts. And it is about Masjid al-Aqsa, when you recall Ismail Haniyeh, the late Ismail Haniyeh, the martyr who was made shaheed not very long ago, when he had announced, he called it Tufani Aqsa, he called it the Al-Aqsa flood. So central to this entire Palestinian struggle has been Masjid al-Aqsa. And this is where we look at the people of Palestine. We look at them as those that have been chosen to defend the honor, to defend the dignity, to defend the respect of Masjid al-Aqsa on behalf of an ummah that is close on to 2 billion strong. So this is where Abir Zayad came in to inform us, to educate us about Masjid al-Aqsa. Not very long ago, last year, at the height of this genocide that was unfolding, we had, when the medical facilities came under severe pressure, when they were being bombed into oblivion, we had Dr. Mads Gilbert, who came out to South Africa as well. And he highlighted the challenges that people had faced. This was a doctor who spent close on to 10 to 15 years in Gaza, in the hospitals of Gaza, training Palestinian doctors. Now, this is a doctor that we had brought to South Africa. Once again, in a few weeks from now, in 2 weeks from now, we will be bringing, and I think you've seen the posters around as well, we are bringing in Yumna Al-Said. Yumna Al-Said, a Al Jazeera correspondent, a journalist, and she, again, award-winning journalist, world-renowned. Yumna Al-Said spent a better part of a few months in Gaza during the height of the genocide that was unfolding. For many of you, you can actually go onto YouTube. You can Google Yumna Al-Said. You can look at the dangers that this woman had faced just reporting on what was taking place in Gaza. There were times when she was literally meters away from when those bombs were being blown from the air. This is why we're getting Yumna Al-Said here to South Africa as well, so that we need to take the struggle further. We need to take the struggle on more levels. Social Intifada, alhamdulillah, doing wonderful work. We use digital media, we can use social media, but at the end of the day, we need to bring the truth. We are here for one reason, is to speak truth to power, and we should not shy away from the fact to speak truth to power. We see it in our own country. We see the media reporting in our own country. We see the mainstream media, and more often than not, what does the mainstream media do? The mainstream media reports on statistics. 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people. But that is just a number, because people to people, numbers mean absolutely nothing. But let us think what lies behind that number. And this is where we come in as Salaamedia as well. What lies behind that number? Behind that number is a baby that was just newly born. Behind that number was a child, a 5-year-old child who had dreams, who had ambitions. Behind that number was a mother who wanted to see her children grow up. Behind that number was an aspiring teenager who wanted to become something in life. Behind that number was an old man who's lived for 60, 70 years of his life under occupation. And that is what we need to think about. That is what we need to be talking about. And this is what Yumna Al-Said will be bringing to South Africa. She will bring that humanitarian aspect. She will bring those heart-wrenching stories to you. And when, as media people, often we are told that, you need to be objective. You shouldn't be showing emotion. But how can one not show emotion when one sees all of this? When one sees death, when one sees destruction, when one sees devastation, all of that right in front of our very own eyes. And it's difficult, but one still needs to remain positive. We need to continue. We need to continue supporting the causes. We need to continue talking about this. We need to continue educating ourselves. We need to continue informing ourselves. These should be the topics on our dinner tables. These should be the topics that we need to talk to our children about. We need to inspire future generations to take up this cause. And in South Africa, we must say that we are fortunate. We are fortunate in a sense that for years, we've had personalities, we've had organizations, we've had people that were very, very close to the cause of Palestine, and we should not let it go. We should continue. We must raise our voices. We must protest. We must talk. We must support in any way that we can, financially, monetarily, and also at the same time, what we need to also understand is we need to maintain, we need to continue with the momentum. This should not be a soda water bottle effect, where we hear of a genocide and we're out there, we go to the Zoo Lake, we march, we in our regalia, we show our flags, we've done our bit for Palestine. That is not enough, brothers and sisters. Really, that is not enough. There is a lot more that you, I, and everyone can do. And this is a jihad. This is a struggle in more ways than one. For us as the media, it's a media jihad. For those out in Palestine, for the Hamas, for the Mujahideen, for them, it's a military jihad. And for us, at the same time, it is also a jihad in our minds. And this is the jihad that we need to fight in our minds as well. And this is the reason why, when we look at many of the organizations in South Africa, all the Palestine solidarity organizations, alhamdulillah, doing wonderful work, doing exceptionally wonderful work to keep on conscientizing people, to stay with that momentum, to continue making sure that we don't forget the cause of Palestine. Also, one must also realize that this struggle is a struggle for the entire Muslim Ummah. This is not a struggle for the people of Palestine only. And the more we begin to inform ourselves, the more we begin to educate ourselves, the more we begin to learn as to what is happening, the more we will appreciate who the people of Palestine really are. These are special people. For many of us, we were disgusted when Sheikh Muhammad Mursi rahimahumullah was assassinated, when he was martyred, when he was murdered. But when you look at the Palestinians, what do they tell you? They said, our life is martyrdom. Our life is about martyrdom. How many of his children, how many of his grandchildren has he seen martyred? How many of his neighbors, how many of his friends has he seen martyred over the period of time? But they are prepared at every second of their life to give their lives towards this cause. So we encourage people that please, whether you're using social media, whether you're using any other forms of media, at the end of the day, put this cause right at the top. Make it a priority. And this is what we at Salaamedia have done since inception. When we embrace the cause of humanitarian journalism, this is exactly what we said we're going to be doing. And it's all about media advocacy. It is all about media activism, which is a phenomenon that sadly is lacking in many parts around the world, including this country. And once again, Khalid, Jazakallah, I'd like to say to you, to Social Intifada, Alhamdulillah, we've had such a wonderful working relationship over the period of time, and always an honor on behalf of Salaamedia, supporting our causes, we supporting your causes, and this is what we need. We need unity of purpose, and the purpose at the end of the day is to work toward the freedom and the liberation of the people of Palestine and the liberation of Masjid al-Aqsa. Allahu Akbar. Free, free Palestine.
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 From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Inshallah, Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah, Uncle Inayet, for joining us. And we really do appreciate all the work that's done by yourself, the team at Salaamedia, and journalists as a whole. I mean, you've mentioned so many important points. I think what we're going to do is, I just want to see if we've got maybe one or two questions for you. Do we have any questions for Uncle Inayet? Just raise your hands if you've got a question. Okay, we've got a question over there. We'll just take the one question.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum to the whole house. I want to say, first question, we must make dua for our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Whatever namaz we're in, Eid, Asar, Maghrib, Isha, and so forth. Please don't forget them. One day they will win. To support them both physically and spiritually. The question I want to ask to the chairperson there is that all these years we knew that the main liberation struggle in Palestine was the PLO, which was in alliance with our own ANC. But as time goes on, to me, it looked like it just imploded or exploded. It's no longer to be seen. Then they emerge now, Hamas, Al-Jihad, and so forth. So that time it was still under Comrade Yasser Arafat, PLO. But now it's no longer existing. I don't know why, and why that is Hamas now as a leading force than before. So that's my question. Jazakallah.
Well, Jazakallah khairan for that question, my brother. Yes, as you correctly pointed out, the PLO obviously died after Yasser Arafat was killed. And I think many of us know Yasser Arafat was actually poisoned and he was killed as well. At that point in time, they were very close to the South African government. In fact, when you look at the ANC and you're looking at the government under the ANC during the time of apartheid, they had a very, very strong association and relationship with the PLO and Yasser Arafat. But subsequently to that, we've seen many other initiatives come through as far as Palestine is concerned, because there were many other peace initiatives or so-called peace initiatives. There were things like the Camp David Accord and all of that. And they were then started negotiating with countries like Egypt. Anwar Sadat comes to mind as well. So there are many of those initiatives. And out of those initiatives, obviously, we see the Palestinian Authority that was born. Now, the Palestinian Authority has got its government in the West Bank, and that is under Mahmoud Abbas. And on the other side in Gaza, you've had Hamas that was born under Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. And they saw through this entire thing that none of these peace initiatives will ever work, because we've seen what has happened with the Zionists. In fact, accord after accord, we're talking about the United Nations as well, resolution after resolution, that they never ever abided by. And it is against this background that Hamas was born under Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, who was then martyred. Dr. Abdulaziz Rantisi took over the reins of Hamas. He was martyred. Now we see what has happened to Sheikh Ismail Haniyeh. He was martyred as well. But I think around 2004, 2005, there were elections that were held. Okay, and these elections were won by Hamas. Actually, Hamas is the legitimate government of the people of Palestine. But these results were not accepted by the West, and they continued talking to the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority made a lot of concessions as well. In fact, they've done
will be there. I am going to now take us into the next speaker, and our next speaker is Uncle Khalid Vauda.